other direction where we might be so focused on getting calcium in our diet or whatever, or the body might not store it in the bones correctly, and it'll store it in soft tissue, i.e. arteries, hardening of the arteries, kidney stones. Yeah, gotta love it, right? So parathyroid hormone can act on what happens with the urine formation. Finally, stage 3. Stage 3, conserve my water. All right, so I got to the DCT. I got the CD now to deal with, the collecting duct. At this point, where I think I'm down to, I can't remember the percentage. I think I had it on one of the other slides. But even still, at like 15%, I think it was, okay, that's still a lot of water. Think of 15% of 180. So, the collecting duct will begin all the way in the cortex of the kidney. It'll continue all the way through that medulla, through that renal pyramid, okay? So, remember that several nephrons will get attached to, or be attached, I should say, to the collecting duct. What we're going to see is that collecting duct, as it dips deeper and deeper and deeper into that renal pyramid, one of the things that I mentioned earlier in one of the slides, the further you move down into the medulla, i.e. that renal pyramid, because that's where they're located, the more salty the tissue becomes. And therefore, if we have that collecting duct dip further and further and further and further into that medulla, because it's going through the renal pyramid to meet the big calyx, to go into the renal pelvis, to make it to the ureter, water, 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 water leaves. Because there's more water in the filtrate than it is in that salty tissue around it. So at this point, that collecting duct helps us conserve tons of water. The urine gets concentrated, and it'll get concentrated based upon how well hydrated your body is. The more hydrated your body is, the more water there will be in your urine. The less hydrated you are, the less water there will be. And that's why the urine will have different colors, because it really is based upon what, not all of it's based, but a lot of it is based upon what level of water hydration do you have in your body. So the collecting duct is an area where a huge amount of water gets returned to the body, so that by the time we make it to urine, we are at a point of where I'm hopefully going to produce 1 to 2 liters of water, or urine I should say, per day, which is the normal amount, which I'm good with, okay, unless you get that big gulp and you're traveling on the road. Learn not to have a whole lot of fluids when I travel, okay? So, water conservation is going to happen a lot the deeper we dip into the medulla. Now, something else that is going to be interesting, and you'll probably see it on your tests that you have to take. It's called the counter current multiplier. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible, because your textbook tries to make it very difficult. What does it mean to run counter to something? Against it. That's as simple as this is. If in the structure of the nephron, if my nephron has my PCT, descending loop, ascending, PCT, DCT collecting duct, okay, and then I got a blood flow that's coming around it, in some areas, they simply run counter to each other. Flow of the filtrate might be going this direction, blood flow will be going this direction. And they simply get to move materials back and forth. Your textbook's going to make it so difficult. And really, take the terms apart, and it's that simple. Counter current, opposite. And because it does that, we're getting that recapture of salt. Now, it is based on positive feedback. Very few things in the body are, because it tends to be something that is detrimental to the body when it's positive feedback. Childbirth is positive feedback, but it's a good thing. Okay? At the time of high blood loss, the production of the clotting factors and so forth is a good thing. But that can actually turn against you if the blood flow isn't stopped. Okay? In this case, it's a positive feedback loop, but it's good because we get to keep osmolarity, meaning the salt concentration and movement of water, as it moves deeper into the medulla, keeping it salty, and in return, conserving my water so that it doesn't leave the body by way of the urine. That's the countercurrent multiplier. Relatively easy for something that looks a little difficult. So, the countercurrent exchange system, we can see that the water, a lot of it gets reabsorbed by the collecting duct. The vasa recta. Now, one of the things that I will point out, when you look at the capillaries in those cortical, the 85%, those are peritubular capillaries. In the remaining 15%, the capillaries are on this side, and they call it vasa recta. Okay, so that's the difference. Like I said, blood flow, one direction, filtrate is the other. They exchange salt and water, and the overall goal is that we are conserving water in this countercurrent multiplier system. That right there is what happens with our nephrons. In a nutshell. Don't you love it? You'll never think about your kidneys the same. Never. From now on, you're going to be like looking at it and going, what's this glucose going to do? No, I'm not looking too much at that. Okay. You know, because I'm going, I just want my glucose. And then it'll be like, oh, no, wait a minute, what about the salt right there? My age, I just kind of go, okay, just saying. So, but that's just me. So, like I was saying, the water, that hydration level, okay, is going to play a huge part in the concentration of that urine. If we're not well hydrated, body's going to secrete ADH because it wants to turn the water back. In times when we're, when hydration and stuff is good and that sort of thing, ADH, is, okay, don't really need it, all right? When we need to really return water back, we're going to need that ADH. ADH is going to play a huge role. So this right here kind of gives you a summary of the major movements that are going to occur in our PCT, our loop, our DCT, and our collecting duct. And study this pretty good before you take your tests for your programs, okay? And then keep this picture with you throughout your programs because of the difference, the different case studies that they're going to give you. And this can kind of be a quick referral for you to help you look at why that person may be having the retention of the water, or maybe something going wrong with their muscle contraction, nerve conduction, and so forth. Because remember, that's based on the solids. Okay? Take a break. Be back at 10:30.